Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Huzur says that there are many among you who have come here from Pakistan, and generally the unfavorable conditions in Pakistan which are being created there, because of those conditions they have come here. But there might be only some rare one, hardly anyone, or maybe one or two are such who have come here directly, who have not suffered any persecution directly or difficult situation. But there is a general fear in Pakistan, no doubt, that our husbands and our children and we all and all our close relatives, they are in fear. And any the so-called ulama, at the instigation of the so-called ulama, anyone can give them some harm. This fear and this apprehension, the sword of apprehension, is always hanging over the heads of all Ahmadis in Pakistan. But this is also a reality, that when people come here, after some time, many people, especially the ladies and the children, they forget these conditions. And generally it has been observed that the girls who are born here and the boys who have spent quite some time living here in this country, here, over there in Pakistan, the persecution that the Ahmadis face, they have forgotten that. And if all the family members and relatives, they have come abroad, those people do not know about these sufferings, or they do not feel that anguish and pain which because of their close relatives they could have felt. And they can feel that in some places the Ahmadis, they suffer such hardships. In Pakistan, because of the law in Pakistan, this hardship upon the Ahmadis is being meted out. And the mullahs, are those who are anti-Ahmadiyya community, they are at liberty. But apart from Pakistan, there are some other countries where Ahmadis, after accepting Ahmadiyyat, they have to undergo various hardships. But there are some ladies have come maybe as developing countries, and their husband has been transferred here because of that. Because in these developed countries there are more opportunities of work. Anyway, because of any reason, these people who have come over here, and most of them, they have come here because of the compulsion of the situation, or maybe in search of good jobs. As I said, that because of certain difficult conditions, they have come here. They have always to remember that in both these situations, Allah Almighty, the blessing which He has given worldly wise, and the provisions of the better life which Allah Almighty has provided to them, because of that, they should never be unmindful of the bounties of Allah. And if you work hard, then these things you will get it, and because of the blessings. But you will also be getting share of the blessings of Allah Almighty. There are certain examples when the ladies and the families, after undergoing the hardships, they came to these countries in the West, and Allah Almighty showed them lot of blessings, gave them lot of blessings. But there are many who are such that despite the hardships and the difficult situation, they continue to remain in their country, and they continue to do so. But Allah Almighty gave them the blessings, and they faced those hardships very boldly. And there are some other countries as well, apart from Pakistan, where hardship is they have to undergo. And finally, eventually, these people got the success despite the fact that they stayed in their country. And there are such examples, and some examples of such situation I am going to present, which are from those people who are outside Pakistan, so that all of you who have come here and sitting here, and time has spent, and you have got some children, they are growing up, and those people, those who have lived here for a long time, and they do not realize that what is the hardship, and they should also know, and their faith should increase and strengthened. And the responsibilities that they have to discharge, and giving preference to religion over the world, that feeling should be created among you. The first example which I am going to quote is of a Pakistani lady who, after undergoing the hardship, she went to Canada. Directly she was the target of the persecution. There are the ladies who their husband is suffering, but directly they were not persecuted, but they had to leave the country anyway. So in this case, the lady was subjected to persecution directly, and she went to Canada, and there she saw the blessings of Allah Almighty being multiplied for them, and they have not forgotten the old times. From Canada, Ansa Sahiba writes that when I was in Pakistan, then our family, we had to migrate from Kashmir and came to Faisalabad. And because of the migration, the financial situation was bad. I had to, as a head nurse, I got a good job in a hospital. But after some time, I came to know that the head doctor of that hospital, the doctor in charge, he uses foul language against the honor of the the promised Messiah ﷺ. One day he called me to my office and told me to recite kalima. What is your kalima? I recited the kalima, and also I told him that I cannot tolerate any such statement which you make against the promised Messiah ﷺ. So he immediately disbanded me and told me off from the job, and because of this situation, she came to Canada. So this is the firm faith, the firm conviction of the faith which every Ahmadi should show. And this strength of the faith is something which enables us to get the nearness to Allah Almighty. The president of Sadr Lajna Faisalabad, she wrote this detail, and in that letter she mentioned this point. The letter which she wrote says that when she was sacked by the officer in charge of the hospital, Hazur said that the one who has done it, his whole job will be wiped off. And after some time, that person's hospital, he was the owner, the proprietor of the hospital, there was a litigation against him in the court, and the whole job and business was completely wiped off. And Allah Almighty took the revenge from that person who was abusing the promised Messiah ﷺ. These are the signs which we see. And the condition of Pakistan is very frequently presented to us, and because of that, many people, they have to leave their country and go outside. But in other countries, the Ahmadi ladies, as they went through the hardship, and they are still going through that, their sacrifices are also very outstanding, and there are a lot of examples of that. They safeguarded their faith. These examples, you should also keep in mind the example of giving preference to religion, giving preference to religion over the worlds, and these examples should emerge. There is a lady from Bangladesh, Amir Sahib Bangladesh writes, now the people in Bangladesh, very few of them, they have gone. Maybe some families have transferred to other countries, not like Pakistan. The condition in Bangladesh has been very hard. People got martyred. Anyway, Siddiqa Sahiba by name, one Ahmadi lady she was working in a private company. In 2011, in UK Jalsa Salana, she applied for the leave to attend the Jalsa. The administration of the job, first they approved the application, then later on when they came to know that she is an Ahmadi and she wants to go to UK to meet the Khalifa and to attend the Jalsa, then the administration said that you have to resign your job and only then you can go. And at that time, she immediately submitted her resignation. And then she wrote a letter to me for the requesting for prayer. And I said that Allah Almighty will give you the blessings and Allah Almighty will make a better arrangement for you. And subsequently we see that Allah Almighty showed the blessings. And Amir Sahib writes that there is a lot of struggle people have to do to find a job. But she applied in one place and without much effort or immediately she was given the job which was better than before. So Allah Almighty also blesses those people who offer these sacrifices. And then there are two Ahmadi ladies who suffered all types of violence, but they always preferred religion over the worldly matters. There was no possibility for them to leave the country, but they did not care for that. In province of Bengal in India, one incident is reported. Inspector Sahib Tariq Jadid writes that Jamaat Ahmad Bitari, Wajid Ali Sahib Mandal, in 1982, he accepted Ahmadiyyat in that year, and after that he suffered very hard difficulties and persecution, and his brothers also rose against him, and the family members broke their ties. There are two, Fatma Begum and Maida Begum, their marriages that has taken place before Ahmadiyyat, and the opponent parties utilizing this time, benefiting the time, the people were instigated, and both the fathers-in-law, the husbands, they started persecuting their wives, both of them non-Ahmadis, and so that maybe because of the daughters, the father may repent because of that. But the father, he did not care anything this matter, and there was no effect on that. And finally, the both sons-in-law, through the court, they sent the letter of divorce to both the daughters, both the wives, and the Fatma with two children went back to his father's house, and she was not yet Ahmadi, but she got more information about Ahmadiyyat. And similarly, the other daughter as well, the other wife, and after getting some more information, she also accepted Ahmadiyyat and joined Ahmadiyyat, both of them. After some time, the Majda, she got married in Qadian, and she is now spending a very happy life there. The Fatima, because of the acceptance of Ahmadiyyat, they had to sacrifice their happy life, but she was very firm in faith, and she did not become slack in that. And she started doing some sewing job locally, And by the grace of Allah, her faith in Ahmadiyyat was further strengthened, and she started performing the financial sacrifice. And some people say that she was always in the forefront of the sacrifices, and this was her habit, that after accepting Ahmadiyyat, she was offering all types of sacrifice for the sake of the community, and she was always moving forward and forward. So this was the example, some of the examples of those countries who couldn't come outside. But a very dedicated lady in India, the Sadr in charge of Bengal, he writes, there was a person named Fazlur Rahman who was a typist in Calcutta. He did the Bai'at, but his wife strongly opposed him, and so much so that she did not like to live with the husband and went to her parents. And after some time, she did the Bai'at and came back to the husband. And then they faced the opposition with great courage. And the relatives and the mullahs, they forced very hard, and they beat them up. And they were beaten so much that a time came that because of this beating, she had to be admitted into hospital. But she was firm in Ahmadiyyat. There was only one Ahmadi family in the whole village, and at the death of her husband, the mullahs raised hue and cry and that we are not going to allow you to be buried here. That lady, she telephoned the missionary that so that they can come and help, and the opponents, they stopped the burial. This lady was very full of courage, and they said that if you don't allow me to bury him in the graveyard, then I will get the grave in my courtyard. And in the courtyard of the house, he was buried. Now his son, he is a Muslim by the grace of Allah. And similarly in India, there is another dedicated lady, and in Narayanpur, Andhra Pradesh, because of severe persecution and opposition, the people had gone away from Ahmadiyyat. They accepted Ahmadiyyat, and then they became silent. But these people were very firm in Ahmadiyyat, those who accepted. And there was B. Jan Sahiba. She was 65, and just a small farming was her job. And she decided to attend the Jalsa Salana in Qadian. When she went back after attending the Jalsa, then the opponents who had terrified the whole village, they came to her and they threatened her that your husband is bad, and if he dies, then nobody will come, and the dead body will not be allowed to be buried. She said that I am firm in my faith, I don't care your threatening, and my God is definitely going to punish you people. And I have prayed quite a lot in Qadian. Anyway, after a few days, this person who was leading in the opposition, in a doubtful situation, he was found dead, and post-mortem was conducted. And 3 days nobody came to claim his dead body, and the people say that there was some insect in his dead body. So Allah Almighty, in this way, they who are persecuted, Allah Almighty listens to their prayers. And as a very clear sign, Allah Almighty shows the acceptance of the prayer, and the result are made very clear to the people. And then a lady, regarding the persecution in relation to her husband, a very terrific incident she describes, that the persecution was imposed upon his her husband. Irfana Sahiba is the name of the lady. She says that I was extremely terrified by looking at the persecution. She says that in 2006, we came to know about Ahmadiyyat. My husband was running a cloth shop, and people used to, those who knew him very well, they used to come and sit with him, and between the two, there was meeting about Ahmadiyyat. Their discussion used to be there, but my husband, as he had a connection with Jamaat-e-Islami, and up to that time for 8 years, and he was Emir of the Jamaat-e-Islami locally. So this debate was very strong. And 2006, when my elder son went to Qadian, and he did the Bai'at. And after 1 year, he kept this as a secret from us, and when we came to know that he has become an Ahmadi, then my younger son also did the Bai'at. The elder brother was preaching to him, and after that my husband and some other relatives, they decided to go to Qadian, and whatever they saw there and whatever they felt, the mullahs, what they tell them, they used to tell wrong things about Qadian. They found Qadian just opposite to that one, and all the information given to them was wrong, and there was no reality in that. So when they returned from Qadian after, and he described the reality about Qadian in front of us, and we were all satisfied. And 27th of May 2008, we all did Bai'at. And the same day when the Ahmadis were made to embrace the martyrdom in Qadian, and these two families accepted Ahmadiyyat on the same day. And then the people around us, they started doubting about us, that perhaps we have become Ahmadi. And as the time passed by, this doubt became a reality, and they started increasing in their opposition. Our relatives, they boycotted us, and people used to call us Qadiani and make a taunt of that. And the children were being persecuted, and the other people stopped giving any shopping to anything to purchase, and there was a propaganda against, and the conditions, they became worse and worse, and the opposition was stronger. But all of us, we did not was not affected. We were firm in our conviction and belief. She says that my children were persecuted and tortured in school, and their students in school, they used to give them hard time. They say that the children said that, and the mullahs, the leaders told them that you have got some money and you have sold your faith. So in short, in every way we were tortured, and it made difficult for the children to go outside, and we were extremely worried. In going to school and going to tuition center, that was discontinued, and all the relatives and the people in the locality, they boycotted us, and nobody would speak to us. In short, there was no room left of persecution, and they did not leave anything. And the shop owners, they also treated badly to my husband. And around his shop, they stood some people as a guard, that nobody should be able to come to our house. And the Muslims, they stopped buying the things from us, and as a result, the sale of our shop diminished and became very bad. And she said that when my husband would come home, then all that happened during the day, he would tell us. And one night when we were just about to sleep, then somebody raised the voice that your shops have been put on fire. So all the men, they immediately got up and went to the shops. When they saw that the shops were on fire, the fire brigade came, and they tried to put down the fire, and there was not much loss. But despite this loss, and despite all these things happening, she says that by the grace of Allah, we were firm in our faith, and we were completely attached to the Jamaat. And never ever we thought, because of this persecution, that because of Ahmadiyya, this torture is being inflicted upon us. But anyway, as the persecution grew, and our faith also increased along with that, the mullahs of the town, they used to hold the meetings against us and incite the people against us. And despite there was one part of the town was Muslim and one Hindu, and all the opposition that could be done in the Muslim area, that was done. And one night the opponents, they held a very big Jalsa, big meeting against us, and the whole city, the program was made to let them listen to all these speeches, which were very fiery speeches inciting the people. And we came to know that Ahmadi brother Afzal, and the people have attacked his house, and he has been beaten up very seriously. He's injured. And after that, in Saharanpur, all the Ahmadi houses, one by one, they were attacked. And next day, after Jummah, the opponents, they also attacked our house. And they raised slogan against us. And I was all alone at my home. I hid my children in the back room, and they attacked our house, and they suffered, they inflicted a lot of loss. I confronted her all alone, and they were just about to set the fire on. The police came, and sticks and fire extinguishers, and the fear was, the police was also full of fear because of the mob, and they requested the people, asked that we should leave the house. And she says that we left Saharanpur this same night, and we went away because the situation is bad, and went to Qadian. But because, despite all this situation, we were very firm and steadfast. So when the faith is there, if the faith is true, then people are always show steadfastness. And the steadfastness of men and children, that also gives encouragement to men as well. If they show cowardice, then the men also become intimidated. So these people cannot go outside, but they stayed there, and they suffered the persecution while living there. So at the most, they could go to Qadian, they went there. Amir Sahib, Gambia says that in North region, in one town, there is one lady, Sister Tika. She is born Ahmadi, and she is related to a devout family, Ahmadi family. She says that the circumstances were such that she came to a certain moment when she got married to a non-Ahmadi, and the husband was a very staunch enemy. There are some people among the Africans, there are extremists and very strong in their faith, and the Imam of the mosque was from that family. So he was very strongly opposed to the community. So this lady, despite all this, she did not hid her faith, concealed her faith, and she continued to participate in Jamaat activities as she used to do before. But her husband and other people, he never offered prayer behind them. And she said, I am an Ahmadi, I will not offer the prayer behind them. So the enmity and the hardship she suffered, but she did not sell her faith. She did not renounce her faith. She was steadfast, and also she established strong link of her children with the Jamaat. And the children, they used to come to the mosque, Ahmadiyya mosque, and attend the Tarbiti classes. Anyway, the husband, after some time, he got another marriage, and she left the previous wife all alone, without any care for her. The elder brother and the Jamaat, they helped this lady for some time, and she spent this time with great steadfastness and perseverance, and she used to pray and showed the firm faith she had in Ahmadiyyat. And there was in the family of the husband that there was also a custom. This is another example of his firmness of faith, that all the neighbors, they used to get together and they invite some chief imam to speak. And then the imam who came, non-Ahmadi, he during the speech he said that whenever an Ahmadi comes after the prayers in the mosque, then they are given 85 dalasi, which is the name of the currency in the Gambia. And this sister was present there. So he stood up and she said that this is totally a lie, because I have been offering prayer in the Ahmadiyya mosque and not a single dalasi has ever been received by me. So this statement was good enough to put this imam to shame. And after that, she was thrown out of the house and home, and she suffered a lot of hardship. Anyway, by the grace of Allah, with 5 sons and 1 daughter, she looked after these people, and these people are closely attached to the community. And in spite of the small income, they are paying contributions on behalf of the children. She participates in all the appeals, and the children are exemplary children. They are reading the Holy Quran. They have already finished. So these are those ladies who safeguarded their faith, and religious ladies, committed ladies. Those who are going to be firm in faith, and they are going to be successful. And also they will get the blessings and bounties from Allah Almighty, and not those ladies who are going to show weakness in their faith. Despite weakness, they were in the forefront of financial sacrifices. In the training of the children, she looked after them in a proper way. And despite adverse situations, despite the opposition of the family members, they were all connected to Ahmadiyya. So after coming over here, when you ladies, you have got the religious freedom here, you have to pay attention to teach the religion to their children, and also pay attention to that. And your own faith should become strong. And try to make it strong. We see here that in these developed countries, the atmosphere is also creating problem for them. Many a time I have explained to the men and to the ladies, because here in this country, we have to look after and protect our children more than other places. To connect our children with religion is a big job, no doubt. And particularly, this is the responsibility of the mothers and the ladies. So realize this this responsibility, and remember always that just these ladies, despite living among the opponents and enemies, she paid full attention to the training of the children in a far-off African country. So after coming over here to this country, those who are well educated, they should pay more attention, so that your progenies should be attached to the children and should not be destroyed. There is another lady, Mirza of Gambia, mentioning another lady. He writes that Sister Swadi Sahib, she accepted Ahmadiyyat along with her parents, and after that she got married to one Ahmadi young man. And after some time, the parents, they, for some reason or the weakness in their faith, they drifted away from Ahmadiyyat. And they asked her as well that you leave your husband and you come to us. But this lady, she told her parents that at the time of the marriage, you knew very well that he is an Ahmadi. So now I can't leave him and go with you. At that, her parents, for 3 years, they broke the ties, and they did not speak to her for 3 years. And after 3 years even, when they thought that the situation is now better, so whenever she used to go to the parents' house, she was thrown away. So this emotional torture, she bore with steadfastness, but he did not leave the Jamaat. And by the grace of Allah, she is very devout Muslim Ahmadi lady, and she is in the forefront of financial sacrifices. She has great love with the Khalifa of the time. She always expresses that. Allah Almighty and give her more strength in her faith, make her faith stronger in those countries where the elders, particularly in Africa, the elders and the parents, their instruction is valued greatly. That sort of freedom is not there, that anybody should stand against the parents and speak against them. In these circumstances, to reply to the parents and to prefer religion over other things, to disbelieve, this is actually a demonstration of steadfastness and the strength of the faith, which was shown by this lady. And those ladies who live in far-off areas, where maybe the road links are not there, but when the faith was there, then such a strong faith is there that she did not care about anything else. He established the link with Khilafat, that it was so strong that there was no other attachment as compared to that. These are the ladies of the strong faith, and the time is going to come. Then these are the ladies who are going to go further in their strong faith. There is one example more. Amir Sahib Gambia writes further that Sister Samba is from one area in upper region area, and her husband became Ahmadi. So then her family members they thought that she should break this link, but she said that at the time of the marriage you advised me that you have to be firmly attached to your husband. So this was also this conviction of belief is among those peace, or these values are only to be found in those people who are generally considered to be less developed or developing countries. And this is the reality, that in most of our houses, when the marriages are breaking, or that the ladies they do not have the proper endurance and steadfastness, the marriage is there, and only after a few months the break of marriage is there, and sometimes the parents also spoil their married life. But in this area, in this case, in this lady living in Africa, she says that she says to the parents that you told me at the time of the marriage that you have to keep this marriage and all that time, and you have to be obedient to your husband. And unless there is there is a question of religion or extreme torture is there, otherwise on petty issues you have to tolerate that in order to keep the marriage going, so that the children may not be destroyed. And when the family breakup is there, then the children are spoiled. So anyway, this lady replied that now the obedience to my husband is not only my moral responsibility, but it is more than that, it's my religious obligation. And I haven't seen anything in my father, in my husband, which is against the religion. Since he has become an Ahmadi, I know that he has been offering the prayer 5 times a prayer regularly. There is a lesson in that. They should not be hard on their ladies and advise them, but they should also and always they should not demand rights from the ladies, but they themselves, the men, they should discharge their duties to Allah, their duties, and they should also be very kind in their treatment to their wives. So she said that when now this condition that he is regular in 5 daily prayers and his moral is there, his treatment is nice, everything is good. So now more than ever before I should be submissive to him and obey him. And instead of breaking the tie with you, that I am ready for that. I have become an Ahmadi. So this is the revolution which has been created in those far-off countries. This has been created. These people are moving towards offering sacrifices and helping them to offer these sacrifices for the sake of Allah. For the sake of Allah, they are ready to offer every sacrifice. Anyway, as a result of that, the parents, the financial help they used to go, that they stopped. She says that after they stopped the financial help, then those those problems, financial problems which used to confront us before, they were no more there. Allah Almighty helped. Allah Almighty also has this way of doing it, to help those people who are suffering. Then from Qadian, there is Ayaz Sahib writes from there. It is his wife Tabassum Sahiba, who writes that 2008 in Odisha, in Kering village in Odisha, she says that Maulvi Aftab Sahib, through Maulvi Aftab Sahib, she accepted Ahmadiyyat, and after doing the bath, then I conveyed the true message of Ahmadiyya to my family member. She did the bath, and immediately she started tabligh and doing tabligh to his family members. And after accepting of Ahmadiyyat, we were being pressurized, and my in-laws, they held a meeting and decided that either you should go away from Ahmadiyyat, or then because of accepting Ahmadiyyat, she should be tortured. And we had to leave our place, and we went to Najibabad in Bijnor. We rented a house and stayed there. At that time, the birth of my son was near, and because of all these conditions, we came to Qadian. And my husband was keen that to meet his father, but that was not possible because of the opposition. We could not meet our close relatives. So my father-in-law, our land was given to some other people, and we were completely deprived from all property. And every injustice was done when we left for Qadian. During the journey, I heard the voice from God Almighty, because our faith was strong. So I heard a voice that the purpose for which we have called you, that has been fulfilled. Allah Almighty, one day I was able to see the picture of the face of the Holy Promised Messiah ﷺ, and the Promised Messiah told me that peace be on you from Allah. So this was, she says that we have been able to get attached with the true Jamaat, and light was given into our hearts. So the real thing is that the link with God Almighty should be there, and that light should be there, which Allah Almighty has created for us to achieve that. That is Allah's light, the light of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and that is the light of total submission to Him. And through the Promised Messiah, by coming into his initiation and bath, and by acting upon all those things which the Promised Messiah ﷺ has taught, and that is the covenant that we have taken at his hand. And then the real satisfaction is there. It is not through wealth that you get the peace. And there are many who come here, despite a lot of earning, they are not very happy because they are away from religion. They have gone away from religion. So this is the principle. This is the principle which must always be remembered by all the people. Then Amir Sahib Gambia further writes that in North Bank there is a sister Tabara Sahiba with the name, and 3 years ago she accepted Ahmadiyyat. She is 57. In her village, the ladies who preached her, she enjoys a very high status. 3 years ago she did the bath, and in Tabligh, in Dawat el-Allah, she has got a very special status. After traveling many miles, she goes and conveys the message to her family members. And as a result of her effort, the brother who is a chief of one area, he became Ahmadi, and he is, by the grace of Allah, very pious and dedicated Ahmadi. So all these, she encourages the other ladies to spend the money and go for Jalsa, and ask them to spend some money, and also the other contributions, Chanda Aam and other Chanda Lajna. She encourages them to pay those contributions. So while in good conditions when you have come over here, and there is no restriction upon you for tabligh. So here in this country, the true message of Islam must be conveyed to each and every house. You should be ready for that, and you should try to convey the message. And proper planning has to be made by ladies, Lajna, and every lady should do so. If those ladies, they preferred the religion and they are conveying the message in difficult situation, so therefore you, in order to please God Almighty, you make a determination of conveying the message of Islam. And the very first thing that you have to take is that you yourself, you get the religious knowledge and have the full knowledge of religion, and look after the proper training of your children. On some occasions, some ladies, they have shown courage more than their ladies, and they have shown such honor for the sake of religion that it's really exemplary. Malda, Bengal, the missionary from there writes that in one Jamaat over there, at the time of the laying of the foundation of the Ahmadiyya mosque, there was strong opposition by non-Ahmadis. Some people, they started fighting, and he says that one lady, Zakiya Sahiba, showed the courage, and she took a knife and she came in front of the opposing Ahmadis, that if somebody has the courage, then he should come and then stop us from building the mosque. Looking at his courage and boldness, all the opponents, they were frightened and they ran away. So by the grace of Allah, now the Jamaat has built a mosque, and also the residence of a Muallim has also been constructed there, and 5 daily prayers are offered regularly. Now this is the result of this courage of this lady, which is an example for the men. And then in Andhra Pradesh, in India, there is a family who accepted Ahmadiyya 2 years ago when the report was written. After some time there was opposition. Then the one young girl over there, 16, 17 years, Mohsna was the name, who was a student in first year. And she was also teaching in a Muslim school, in primary school. And because of the opposition, she was turned away and sacked, and she came back to her parents. And the other people, they also, the brothers also insisted, the sister, that now we are living in the, we don't have any house, we are living in a rented house, and these people are also going to turn us away. So you became a silent Ahmadi. Don't tell them that you are an Ahmadi. That lady replied that even if they cut my body into pieces, I am not going to leave Ahmadiyyat. So anyway, after that, the old father, for some time, he took her to Qadian, and they remained in Qadian and then went back to their place. So these are the ladies, very poor financially, but in religion she was very strong, and she showed courage. And they suffered all the hardships at the hand of the opponents. So these people cannot come outside to remove their difficulties, but they are steadfast. All the hardships, they suffer, they endure that. And despite all these hardships, but their faith is very strong. Those people who come over here, they have got comforts and facilities. After that, how much they should be thankful to Allah, and they should keep a regard for that their faith should be strong and protect your faith. And more than before, practically, you make them a practical and true Ahmadi, and follow the commandments of the Holy Quran. And not this, that they should be lost in this society, and the girls as well, and the boys, everyone, that the parents, when they have come here, that they should remember that this is because of religion. So therefore, these girls and boys, they should not be lost in religion, but they have to give the preference to religion over the world. And this is the thing through which you are going to sustain the life here in this life, and also a better future in the hereafter. And through your action and through your each and every action, it should be according to that what Allah Almighty wishes from us. Some commandments Allah Almighty has mentioned very clearly, like example the commandment regarding the parda, veil. That is the responsibility of each and every Ahmadi lady, each and every Ahmadi girlie. And to make your dress full of modesty and dignity, that is the responsibility. So these are the examples which are going to go into your generations. And they are going to establish the unity and the distinction of the Ahmadiyyat, and this will help you in the field of tabligh. And it is not this that people come to the West, they forget the veil and the parda and the covering. And there are some situations because of which some people here, the people, the non-religious organizations, are those people who do not have any connection with religion, and they are the leaders of those organizations. They put some hurdles and obstacles in the way of Muslim Ahmadi ladies, and the greatest opposition is that you don't have to have the veil or the covering, and don't do the parda. But those who are strong in faith, they show their example. There is an example of Canada. In Canada, there was a lady. She says that when I completed my education, Kehkashan is the name, then I wanted to do the job. And I applied in several places. But despite the qualification, because of my veil, observing the veil, they refused. But I made a promise that whatever may be there, I am not going to leave my veil. And Allah Almighty gave me the steadfastness, and because of the veil, and I left so many jobs for this reason. So this is the one of the example of those people who have firmness of faith in Germany, in UK. There are local people, the German, they accepted Ahmadiyyat. So without any hesitation, without any worry, they have maintained their veil. The standard of that they have established, and not this that in Pakistan they were observing the parda, and when they came, they abandoned that, or they did not introduce the parda in their future generation. There's a basic teaching which the Holy Quran has mentioned categorically. So when you pay attention to your prayers and financial sacrifices, then the other commandments of Allah Almighty, you also pay attention to that, because in that lies our success in this life and also in the life to come. This is a lesson for all those people, and the example of Canada that I have given, or some other examples. There are so many examples of the local people, those who on petty issues they leave their veil and practice of parda, and they have promised to give preference to religion over the world. Then they have to suffer and endure these hardships. Otherwise, you will be drifting away from that covenant of your Bai'at which you have made. So therefore, special attention has to be paid to this point. The strength of the faith, there are so many examples. In Germany recently, there was ladies from Palestine who came, and they were suffering a lot of worries from their families, from their husbands. They were suffering some worries, and there is some court cases are there, and they are depriving them from their rights, from their children. But when I asked them that, are you firm in their faith, they said, yes, we are firm, and nobody can shake our faith. We are firmly established in Ahmadiyyat, and we are going to confront this opposition in any way. So if these people, despite the opposition, they protect their faith to be from destruction and showing steadfastness and firmness, so then those people who have got all the facilities here, why can't you show the same thing? So these examples which I have quoted, they should remind you and give you the courage and understanding that if Allah Almighty has given you the better situations financially, and you are free to act upon your religion according to your will, so how much responsibility comes to you that you should change your condition according to religion, and religious commandments should be given preference over everything. Remember these examples of these ladies, those who are suffering because of their faith, and they are enduring it with steadfastness. If this feeling is gone, and the glamour of this life in the West, and the conditions and that takes you to the worldly life, then, as I mentioned in my khutbah yesterday, that if these things are there, that remember that the real life is not in drowning into the world, but in firmly establishing the religion. This is what Allah Almighty has mentioned, and that is why the Holy Prophet ﷺ was sent, so that he can give us the spiritual life. This is what Allah Almighty has mentioned regarding him, and for this very purpose Hadhrat promised Messiah ﷺ has been sent in this age. So therefore, if you wish the true life for you and for your children, then you give preference to religion over the world's. And if this promise that we have made, always fulfill that. Always keep that in mind. Allah Almighty enable all of you to do so. Now please join in prayer.